I don't think that terrorism usually directly threatens democracy, in that there has never been a case of a group that was using terrorism as its primary strategy ever overthrowing a democratic government. So what you've had is, in some cases, groups that were using terrorism but usually using other methods as well. Guerrilla warfare, they were involved in probably what we would now call an insurgency, and on some occasions they have provoked a government into an overreaction that either destroyed democracy completely or seriously weakened it. And the examples I typically cite are Uruguay, which was, if not a perfect democracy, at least more democratic, and where the Tupamaros provoked a crackdown that wound up in a very repressive regime. Similarly, Peru, where the threat of Sendero Luminoso led to what's called the autogolpe, a self-coup d'etat by Fujimori. Now you've had democracy restored in both of those countries. And of course, terrorism and the fight against terrorism was one of the threats that the Argentine government used, and the Argentine military, to implement a crackdown that was later known as the Dirty War. So in these cases, terrorism has produced regime change. Now, terrorism can certainly provoke democracies into basically restricting civil liberties and taking other measures that are certainly have a negative impact on democratic institutions. And those other effects of counter-terrorist policies include, in most cases, strengthening of the executive vis-a-vis the judiciary and the legislature in democratic governments, a strengthening of security agencies, internal security agencies within the country, and usually things that are restrictions of the rights of people who are arrested and convicted, such as most commonly lengthened periods of preventive detention, when you're held without having to be presented to a judge or being brought to trial. All these measures have been undertaken by democracies, not just the United States, I should add, Great Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Denmark, the Netherlands. All these countries have undertaken some of these measures. And one of the most alarming things about these measures is that they're often undertaken in haste. There's a major terrorist attack, everybody's alarmed, the legislature doesn't want to quibble, measures are pushed through. Sometimes they're measures that have been proposed earlier and the government couldn't push them through. Now when there's an atmosphere of crisis, they're able to push them through. We saw this in the US post 9/11, but again it's common to other democratic countries. And frequently these packages, which are usual packages of legislation, they are democratically adopted, don't have sunset provisions. So they're going to be on the books forever unless you go back and revisit them. Some countries like Canada have implemented sunset provisions. Britain has had some sunset provisions. But again, you often have packages of measures that have been adopted in haste, and that then it's very difficult to undo what you've done.